Milk quality, it's all about farmers like we have here on the stage, like Pat and Gillian, producing that quality milk day in, day out, and that's what you and your team are working at.
Yeah, thanks, Kieran. It's an all Waterford panel up here, so I'm feeling very outnumbered. Milk quality is about doing the same things all the time and having a really good routine with your cows, both from the herd health side of things, from the hygiene side of things, and doing it repetitively. Doesn't sound very interesting when I put it like that, but our best farmers, and the two guys up here are absolute top-class examples of that. And I've even seen a few of our previous NDC nominees, Jared Doyle, Michael Phelan, and a few others, and also Kieran Hearn is around as well, who's another of our nominees this year. And everybody says the same thing. If we do the same things consistently, it works really well for the cows and for milk and for consumers.
The bar as regards quality is higher and higher. The expectation for farmers, and a lot of the when people might question on the outside about a lot of these levels that are now required, but the farmers literally have embraced this. They're aware of the importance of quality, and also, of course, with the payment base as well, with quality and solids, they go hand in hand. But farmers have embraced all these new, very high levels that are required.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think the only major change that we've actually done this year is we've brought in a move towards chlorine-free detergents. So we haven't actually done anything to kind of make it harder for farmers. But what we've seen on farm is that cell counts and TBCs and thermodurics, they're actually improving naturally on farms because farmers are getting better and doing really good work themselves. So the chlorine-free detergents is basically a reaction to consumer needs and people asking us to move away from those. So the dairy industry has gotten very proactive.
It's very much proactive rather than reactive. And indeed, again, going back to the dairy farmers, that's the message you're putting out there. But definitely, and we'll speak to the two here alongside me, that's the key message here.
It is. There's two things that if we as an industry can step ahead of legislation at all times, we'll be in a better place. And the second thing is that a consumer expectation is always around safe food and safe milk. And anything we can do to reinforce that, it's great.
Gillian O'Sullivan running a very busy dairy farm in Colligan just outside Dungarvan. Gillian, Fionnuala mentioned day in, day out, but you as a dairy farmer, is that very much foremost in your mind? Or do you look at this is a Glanbia restriction that I have to work to, or does it become part and parcel of your daily routine?
Sorry, for us, I think consistency and having the same routine every time you go in milking is really, really important in terms of quality. Our big focus is always on keeping a low cell count and producing high quality milk. So when it comes to the likes of, and Fionnuala advised us in our transition over to chlorine-free detergent, and we've had no trouble. We've been using it.
I was just going to say, was that difficult going to chlorine-free?
Not at all. Not at all. It was a very, very easy transition. Fionnuala suggested when we were
hot or cold wash?
We use a hot wash every day. Yeah, and no trouble at all with it. And it's worked really, really well. So there's been no issue.
Herd health is key, and obviously, and people being aware that when there is a problem animal in the herd, of course, that's part of the procedure as well. Maintaining that high quality of animal in your herd, ensuring that the high quality comes into the bull tank.
Yeah, I guess quality, in terms of quality in milk, you're looking at cell count is obviously a big one. And cows that have consistently high cell count, or chronic cows, that can't be tolerated in a herd. You have to make decisions, especially with culturing, figuring out what bugs. That's your first step. Figure out what bug you're dealing with. Culture the milk of those chronic cows. Figure out what you're dealing with, and then make a plan on how to tackle that problem. Because there's a different plan depending on what bug you're dealing with in your herd. And for us, we had an issue a number of years back with Staph aureus, which is a very, very common bug. And you just have to put a plan in place to prevent it. It's a contagious type mastitis, so that means it's spread in the parlour. You have to put a plan in place to limit the spread of a contagious mastitis in the parlour. And once you put that plan in place and follow it really through start to finish with a consistent routine every day, then it becomes less of an issue.
Pat Kiely, your Glanbia's nomination this year, one of two nominations for the Quality Milk Supplier of the Year. Your daily routine, what do you see as the key planks producing that quality milk day out on your parlour in Ballinamult in County Waterford?
I suppose you have to have a high standard of hygiene, and you have to have a strict routine and stick to the routine all the time.
And what are the key planks of your routine? What do you feel are the most important steps you do every day in your dairy?
Well, on our farm, we strip the cows twice a day, and we milk them dry normally. If they're very dirty, we clean them, we wash them, and we dry them. And we spray them with a disinfectant after each milking. And we obviously the washing routine for the plant.
Are you hot or cold wash?
We do a very hot wash every morning. We do a descale once a week on the plant, and we do a descale on the bulk tank once a week with hydro acid.
Pat, you're a spring calving herd, dry cow therapy, a very important role in any dairy herd. What's your procedure as regards dry cow therapy?
I don't claim to be an expert on drying off cows, but we did last year. We used just sealers only on a percentage of the herd. We normally have a very low cell count, and so we thought we shouldn't put antibiotics into cows that don't need it. So what we did last year was we selected from our 3 previous milk recordings that were under 100. We selected those ones, and on the 4th milk recording, which was around early October, we
Just keep the mic right against your lips.
on the 3rd recording, we took a figure of 80,000. And any cow that was in that category for all the recordings and that didn't have a clinical case of mastitis during that year, we just used a sealer on those only. And that was about over 60% of the cows.
So you're happy with that?
We got a very good outcome. Yeah,
results were good. Yeah,
very good.
Obviously, they were. Your results are showing that, and now representing Glanbia, which is a very huge achievement to represent the size and scale of suppliers that Glanbia have.
Well, I suppose. I think you can look at Fionnuala here, and she encouraged us to go along, and she gave us an awful lot of help. So it wasn't
brilliant.
I just say Kieran at home. He did a huge effort to get the farm up to the
It's a team effort.
It's a team effort, exactly. Yeah.
Gillian, as regards the dry cow therapy, you're a vet yourself. Pat has shown what he chooses as best practice. What's the practice on the O'Sullivan farm?
Yeah, Pat and Kieran on their farm do a fantastic job, and they're a great example for all other farmers to take it on board, because once you have strict criteria, just like Pat said, if you have, whether it's 80 or 100,000 is your cut-off point, and cows that are below that and have consistently had 3 to 4 milk recordings that are below 80 to 100,000 in cell count, then they're ideal candidates for just using a sealer at dry off time. We used it a little bit last year. We had really good results, and we're going to extend that in our own farm this year to using a greater proportion of just sealer instead of antibiotic, and going towards the selective dry cow therapy instead of blanket.
So selective dry cow therapy. Fionnuala, Malone, from a Glanbia point of view, milk quality point of view, dry cow therapy this time of year, very important period. Guys getting this right.
Yeah, it's crucial, Kieran, because it really sets you up for the spring. And what we're seeing, again, farmers being very proactive. There's legislation changes coming around the availability of antibiotics at the dry-off period. So what we've been encouraging farmers to do, and the guys here are great examples of it because they're both on different stages of a journey, is to actually look at your herd, use your milk recording results, and pick out some
Are most
cows.
guys using milk recording, or is there still a big gap with the guys' numbers that should be using? Because it's a great tool to have, the information you can get by milk recording.
I think everybody would agree we'd love to see more people using it, because it's the only way to actually figure out which cows are doing what in your herd. And I suppose I talk about milk recording, Kieran, for cell count, but it's more important even for your breeding and for figuring out what cows to keep as replacements. So there's a huge side of that, which is very economically important on a farm.
Fionnuala, you must be delighted in your milk quality team, the standard within the Glanbia group, and I know year on year you've the representatives like Pat and Kieran who you represent us at national level, and the Cell Check Award. So that really reflects the very high standard of quality, because you don't get a quality product without that quality raw material.
Yeah, I mean, it's key, because I suppose all the customers that are there for any dairy product, they're expecting good quality milk. And to be fair to everybody on the ground, on farms every day, that's what's being delivered into the factories every day.
As regards the detergent-free, obviously a lot of the customers now are demanding that.
Chlorine-free detergent rather than detergent-free, Kieran.
Chlorine-free,
I'll have a heart attack on the stage up here.
Sorry.
So chlorine-free detergent is a question and a query that we're getting from all our customers now, from our NUA right down to the Danones.
So do you see it becoming the norm?
Yeah, it's the norm now, I suppose, for bulk tanks. And by the end of this year and the end of this season, it'll be what we'll be recommending as the normal milking machines. There's been a lot of trial work. I suppose we've been researching this for 3 years with Teagasc
And Moore Park.
in Moore Park. We've actually gone through an awful lot of detergents and thrown them out and said they're actually no good. I wouldn't be the most popular person when I call into some of the stands, but what we've said to all the detergent companies is come up with something that works. And farmers need something that's simple to use and very reliable. And there's solutions out there for guys with hot water and plenty of solutions for cold water as well. And we're just trying to help everybody.
Gillian, finally turning to you, detergent-free. Many people might say, oh my God, this is another step too far, but you have found the transition to detergent-free has worked well on your farm.
Yeah, the chlorine-free detergent is... We've been using it in the bull tank, and it's no issue at all. We've had no trouble at all with using it. Very, very simple. The only one step we did have to take was to recalibrate our because obviously there's a different amount of detergents taken up in comparison to what we were using previously. So we just had to recalibrate that setting on the bull tank, and that was as complicated as it got.
Cost-wise, there's not a big difference cost-wise.
There's a slight difference cost-wise, but it's not overly significant.
Pat, Kiely?
Try and have... No, I'd just say try and have the water as hot as you possibly can for the morning wash, and then you use a cold wash in the evening. And if you stick to that routine and, use the recommended products, you should be okay. We've had no issues at all with it. Now, we've done 1.5 years of chlorine-free detergents.
Brilliant.
And
So,
actually,
Fionnuala, you must be delighted when you hear two top quality milk suppliers who've proven year on year, embrace what the message that you're sending out, and it's more of that you want from suppliers right around the group.
yeah, and in fairness, an awful lot of suppliers have converted over. Kieran couldn't purchase successfully. And just to say, Pat is actually gone towards chlorine-free on the machine maybe 1.5 years ago now, Pat. And his machine is set up with milk meters and things, and we're finding it's working fine. So it's working well.
So finally, anybody listening here as regards chlorine-free, talk to your local...
Yeah, we're here to help.
Yeah, and over in the side. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, best of luck to Pat in the NDC, our representative, to Gillian O'Sullivan, who did us so proud last year, and Farmer of the Year, and Fionnuala for coordinating the milk quality at Glanbia. Thanks a million, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Kieran.